footy ride. His footy ride.
So the prelude here, Chad, both being on here and also for Saturday. How you feeling, mate? Bit nervous or what?
Nervous, apprehensive. A few other things come to mind, but not really nervous.
And what about for tonight?
Yeah, no, that's the main one. I'm very nervous. It's interesting couple of days, especially since I got the call about the interview. Must be something on social media. I'm not on social media, so but there was a bit of stuff at work and a few text messages from random people.
Really?
So, yes.
Of support
already.
Or?
Yeah, one's a close mate of mine, James, up at Darwin, who
really?
said, "Are you playing your 400th this week?" And I said, "Well, I guess so." It's interesting. Been a couple of days, but let's get it over and done with.
Yeah.
Basically.
Have you always worn the famous number 8? I know.
No.
Have worn a different number?
Probably,
that could be a good question. Meadows Bakery, you win a dozen pasties or something. What was the other numbers Chad Dawe wore?
Probably 10 early doors, pardon the pun, early days. I just liked 10 because I just thought it was big and round and solid, and I wasn't back then. I wasn't back then, Pistols. And then 10 for most of it, and then finally got number 8 at Meadows from Roddy Brooks after our first Hills year. He gave it to me the following year, noting that he actually got it off my old man.
Yes.
And then I got it and have worn it ever since, except for the odd, I think the B grade flag I wore, number 30.
Yeah.
Someone else had it and I didn't want to take it off them.
So like for Saturday, there'll be 2 number 8s, A's and B's.
Is that to fit me? Is that what you're saying?
No, but you know.
Yes, there is a number 8 because the ironic thing is 2 years ago when Casey Brooks came back.
Casey Brooks, that's who it is.
I was up here the first selection night, and not I, but we were there and we handed it to him, which is obviously Roddy Brooks's son.
Right.
So it's quite a bit of a journey, and prior to the old man wearing it. It's
incestual around here.
That's what we are at these smaller clubs. Prior to the old man wearing it was...
How would you be if you were playing the Tasmanian League? Anyway, move on.
We'll go on. Next one, Jeff. Our fella called Chris Maidment wore it, who's actually the father of one of my best mates, and Dad looked up to him. So,
Ty.
That's his dad.
What a great footballer he was.
So there you go. That's the quick summary of the
All
number
right.
8.
That brings enough people in, ready to go live. We're live anyway, but yeah, we've got enough numbers coming through now. So yeah.
Very good. Okay, officially Jeff Pistola here with you for Hills Footy HFL Chat, and very special edition this week as we honour a great man, the man who's going to become just the second man in the history of the Meadows Football Club to play 400 senior games, and I'm talking about the great man sitting next to me, of course, Chad Dawe. Chad, welcome.
Thanks, Pistols. We'll welcome you to the kennel, I guess. It's appreciate it, and we'll see what the next duration holds, I guess. Yeah.
Now, it's great for you to join us because we know you're a man who probably shuns social media and probably the spotlight, but if we can able to tonight just delve a little bit into now it's interesting to note that half your life, have you had time to sit down and take this all in, half your life you've been playing senior football?
I won't.
When you think about it, you said 44,
44
almost
thanks,
27 years of...
and I reckon I started playing senior footy in 97, 98, 98, so 17. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Ducks of arithmetic at Meadows Primary, were we?
No, definitely not. No, love to be running out on the oval out where we see today, and with my best mates running amok and kicking the footy. So certainly wasn't the Ducks back then. No.
Fantastic. Now, I tell you what, for those not in the know in the inner sanctum here at Meadows, can you just explain the origins of your nickname, which of course is Windsor? Is it because you're named big and strong, powerful after the Ford V8 block motor, or is it because you're football royalty, the House of Windsor? But how did that come about?
I'll go cut to the chase. The latter one has been mentioned by a couple of newer families to this area, but I certainly shut that down. Believe it or not, it's around a caravan, and it's not because of the size of me. It's I was lucky enough to have a crack at town back in whenever it was 05, and 2 weeks before, I said to one of my best mates at the time, Ty Maidment, and another mate of ours, Sam Russell, I was like, I just got to get away. We've got to get away for a weekend before I get into
Yeah, the serious.
Yep, the serious
heavy
stuff.
training, yeah.
So we went over to Edithburgh. Long story short, we went out that night. We're sitting in the caravan, and they go, "We've got to be you've got to be names in case we get in trouble." I went, "Okay." They were Maverick and Goose, and I've just looked through our cabin we're in and saw Windsor Caravan. And I said, "Well, I'll be Windsor," and that is the true story, and it's stuck. Even the following year at Ty come down for a couple of resi games, and he spread it with the Eagles boys. So since then, that's the
So Windsor after a caravan.
yeah, and not because of the size of me.
Well, you could have been the Dreammaker, called a Wild Dreammaker iconic. Imagine that.
Yeah, that would have been a mouthful, but nah. So it's gone from Windsor to Wins with a Z, and yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. Now, as we said, 400 senior games coming up, but obviously your career possesses a lot of other games, particularly juniors. Just take us through your graduation. Junior, I suppose, one of the great names in the community, the Dawe family. It was just, obviously you're going to be a junior football here at Meadows and follow through, but your first recollections of playing footy or going to the footy?
Yep. So I had a feeling when Benny asked about this interview, it might be us. So I've reached out to my mate Zach, who's given me just a couple of little intels. But basically, we started in the Panther League, which is now the Moddies comp. It was back in the southern area. We used to play on the bottom oval, and I started that. I'm going to guess. I think I might have been 7, thereabouts. Wrangly young little fella. Played Moddy. Was Panther League back then. Used to play at Christie's Beach High School against Antonio Primary Schools, Pimpalas Primary Schools, never up in the hills. Got through that. Then in 93, we were combined with Sullivan's Beach. Not 93, no, I think that might have been, it was 94, I reckon, 'cause I remember going to Bice Oval and watching Meadows beat Kangarilla in the 94 Div 2 Southern Footy League Grand Final. And then the following 3 years, we were combined with Kangarilla, and then started playing senior footy. So the crux of it is I personally and my mates, Zach Milbank, Ty Maidman, a few of those sort of blokes, we never played, apart from Moddies, an actual club for Meadows outright.
Yep.
We're always combined.
Yep.
So you look at that and go, at the end of the day, we were playing footy and still got to play footy at Meadows. It was sort of divvied up. So 1 year with Sullivan's Beach and 3 with Kangarilla in the later years.
How was that playing juniors down there? As you said, even the composite side, but playing down in the Southern Football League, which is obviously a bit different environment because it's a bit different population. It's more metro. Yep. How did you find that?
Very different, especially when my first senior year was in Southern. You'd drive to Hallett Cove and you'd get out and you'd see all these guys that are, tats and long hair and I think they had a bit of a bikey sort of thing there at the time.
They're the guys in under 14s.
Yeah, and then we went into the A-grade that day. But I think one of the highlights, and it's not quite footy related, but a mate of mine, Sam Ray, used to drive us because we were a bit younger, and we were just excited about going to Hungry Jack's at Honeypot Road. That was a highlight for us from us Hills boys, and there was also stoplights down there when you had to go to the Brightons of the world. So it's a memory that comes to mind. It's not so much footy related, but it was really it was hard and tough. And I recall an Aldinga game. We were running out in the B grade, and I think Simon Black at the time was our A grade coach. And there was I don't know if you know Aldinga Oval very well, but there's a bit of a tunnel when you come out, and there was a bit of a scuffle between the A's and the B's and both teams. And I was 16, 17 going, what the hell's going on here? So, and I was lightly built and quite small back then, but I stuck with it. And so it was a bit daunting for sure, but it was great to be back in the hills in 99. You could just feel straight away, even though as an 18-year-old, we're out playing at Callington. We're out playing at Malang. It was a bit more suited to Meadows.
Yeah. And building yourself up, as I said, tell us about your first A-grade season, obviously in 98, I think you said. So what position were you playing then? And as you said, a bit of a string bean guy, but obviously those stop-ins at Hungry Jack's over the years has done a good job for you, mate.
Yeah, 98. I don't recall the position, but it would have been forward pocket, if that. I do recall I played 8 A grade and 12 B grade. I think we only won 1 A grade game, and that was at Brighton, and I happened to be in the B grade. I just remember them singing afterwards. So don't really remember, but I reckon it would have been a forward pocket, maybe wing at the time. And then, yeah, that was in the first year, but then ventured back up here and then started probably going a bit forward, almost sort of a second ruck type role as well. I definitely remember that. Second rucking to Aaron Quinn in 99 or 2000 up at Burwood. For some reason, that sticks in my mind that I was named second ruck forward flank. So there you go, and I still hadn't quite filled out at that stage. Had the height, but hadn't filled out. So that were years coming.
So, as you said, you recall the fact, obviously, Meadows back originally in the Hills Football League, 1967 were part of the competition, and they moved down south. Can you remember the vote at the time? What was it, 99, when they decided to come back to the Hills? Can you remember the vote for the ideas about coming back? Was it a majority thing to come back to an environment they were used to?
No, I don't recall that vote, not at all. No doubt the old man would have been involved or not involved on the committee. Yep. So I don't actually remember that at all. I just think there was a talk around that we're going to be back playing country clubs, Kangi, Chunga, Macclesfield, those sort of things. So instead of us driving all the way to Brighton into the city and playing, because Brighton were in Div 2 at the time. But yeah, I don't actually remember the vote or the meeting they would have had, but I just remember those little commentaries around it, sort of thing. So,
So you come back and gradually build the strength, and then of course you've been must have been an exciting time to be part of probably arguably the most exciting successful era of the Meadows Football Club, those flags in 01, 02, 03 and 04. And in 04 you actually are the best and fairest for the team, which must have been a great honour for you in a premiership season to be the best player.
Yeah, it is, and it was. I
know you're modest, but when you think about it,
about to say it's something that I think I remember stirring Mark Thomas up or someone over the last few years. It's like, come on, you bastards, win that, get that little accolade off me.
Yeah.
Still to this day, was the last premiership best and fairest winner. So, and it was my only one. But had a fantastic personal year under Steve Flintham, and obviously to win the fourth in a row was amazing. And as I can't remember, 20 to 24-year-old, you're just loving life and loving the time with your mates, and that was a phenomenal ride, to be honest. And whether that set us up for not future success, but set our club up for the next 20, 30 years, it might have done, but certainly set myself with a heap of my mates up as footballers and men, I guess, going forward, because we had just not confidence, but we just had that. Yeah, how good's this? Let's just continue with life and footy at the club.
As you said, wins, they're all special, but is there one that sort of stands out as being more memorable for you? I don't know, 4, a pretty good effort, but is there one that stands out for you?
In the grand finals, the 4 of them?
The 4, the 4.
They're all good.
Yeah.
I could name them all. 03, you recall I broke my collarbone up at Berry. So missed the last 3 months, had a reserves game, minor round, and then played 2 A-grade finals and won the flag. And 04, it's not about, well, it is about me. I kicked 4 of the 6 against Birdwood,
of course it's about you.
Addy Chunga, and that was a low-scoring affair. To do 4, I think's incredible, but just to have kicked 4 of the 6 and play a part. But then in 01, the rebuild, under Dawe, to get the Kernos, the Mullies, those guys, as 20-year-old kids, to have those blokes playing, and it got a 7-year itch, they called it back then. I think it was front page of the Courier. It was all good. So they had all their moments, but I'd probably be the 04, only because I was probably a bit more older and played a bit more of a part personally, I think.
So 2005. Can you just take us through the process of deciding to have a crack down at SANFL footy?
So back end of 04, I was getting a few interesting phone calls, actually. And I was trying to cut grass on the Mount Lofty golf course at the time, and had, I think it was 3 or 4 clubs interested in at SANFL level, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? This is real. Spoke to the old man and had a chat. I ended up getting, because I had a couple involved and interested, I didn't know what to do. I had no idea. So I lent on the old man, Dawe Thomas. I can't remember the other fellow. It might have been Zach at the time or someone like that. And we sat down and we basically went, right, these are the options. What am I going to do? And they talked me into going towards the Eagles, because I think they'd just won the flag or played in it.
It was a period where they played
in a lot.
Played in a lot.
Yeah, that's right, against them. And yeah, Ronnie was very
Ronnie Fuller. Yep.
very welcoming at the time, I must add. And so we sort of talked, the Groovers at the time, that was the decision, even though Nord, who I grew up to love, they were one of them, and Sturt, who was in our zone, they were another. So it was a bit of a risk, but I think the way they said it is, if the best team wants you, why wouldn't you go there? Along those lines, that was probably the bit that got me to what is it, Oval Road, I think it's called, down at Woodville.
Yeah. I think history will judge if it was like the Australian Test team giving out the caps on debut. I think you're number 191 for the Woodville Torrens Eagles.
I reckon you're definitely the 19, right? It used to be down in the change rooms. I have no idea if it still is. But yeah, you might be right, Pistols. I don't recall the number. I just recall debuting against Nord under lights against my team, and of all fellas that I played a lot of footy against, was Paul James was for Nord. And we got up because I got a call at that was a Friday night game. I was named in the twos, and I got a call at 11 o'clock or thereabouts at Smoko, and Ron Fuller said, Trent Henschel's been called up to the Crows. You're playing league tonight. And I just, can't remember what I said, but I was a bit rattled. So, straight into a back pocket in the league team that night, Friday night, under lights at the Parade, where I absolutely love. So, yeah.
So, just the 4 league games, but you did play a lot of reserves footy and kicked a few goals. And, the decision, end of the season, not to continue, was there anything behind it, or you just, being a Meadows boy, you just wanted to come back and play with your mates in the community, or?
There was a little bit behind it, a bit of personal stuff and a bit of football stuff. I actually didn't make the league training squad for finals. After coming third in the BNF in the reserves and kicking close to 40 goals or whatever, I recall Stephen Hall, state fullback, and Joe Pedler at the time, after training, going, "Geez, Chad, we can't believe you didn't make the training squad." That knocked me a little bit. And then Ronnie caught up the following year and wanted to come out, but I think by then I'd decided I'd probably had enough of the travel and had a crack, ticked it off, and amongst all other things, I decided not to continue.
I was going to say, Chad, obviously you were living here at Meadows still, commute down to Oval Avenue, how many times a week for training?
Actually I was living with my brother and Sam Russell at the time at Fullerton and Crafers. I think it was a bit of a split, so it wasn't as bad. But the commute was can't remember whether it was 4 nights of the week, and then
that would have been a very interesting household. Yeah,
especially when I used to come home of evenings and they used to take the P155s out of me if I did something wrong. So, it was an interesting household, but I used to be wrapped up in bed on Sunday nights at 5 o'clock, and I didn't get much sleep for a few hours.
So you come back to your beloved Bulldogs 2006 and have a very good season there, mate. Kicked 98 goals to win the country division goal kicking. So surely you could have scrounged 2 goals from somewhere, mate, to get that magic ton in that season.
Bloody good memory, or you've probably done your research. I don't recall the 90-odd. Maybe it was, but I think that may have included finals.
Come from well-known good mate of yours, Zach Milbank, the facts and figures man. Yeah. He's better than J Hill, mate, but 98 goals.
I believe him if it's come from him. All I recall is playing in finals and good to be back. I did cop a little bit of abuse from some supporters at the time that year, which I won't touch on because that's another little issue, but it was good to be back under Blakey. He recruited a few back with my mates, the Tyres, Maiments, the Reeds, Russo, those sort of blokes, and it was good to be back. Yeah.
Now, amazingly, we talked about just falling short of the ton, but come 2010, the ton comes up, you actually kick 119 goals, but don't win the goal kicking because it was a year where there was I think about 4 blokes kicked the ton, and then that season you actually kicked 28 goals against Callington, the luckless Callington, unfortunately. And actually, I noticed in kicking the 119 goals, 48 goals were kicked in the 2 games against Callington. So, as I said, that must have been an achievement, though. And just the 28 goals, and you do have to kick them in a game, but just the memories of that day.
Yeah, it's a funny year. Yes, you kick 100 goals, but unfortunately, I think it was even asterisked in the state because we were playing Callington, which was a bit unfortunate because obviously Callington were just battling away and it wasn't good footy. I was known to say I'd rather kick 5 against Kersbrook or whoever was at the top at the time.
Torrens Valley in those days?
Yeah, against the better teams. That I pride myself on those sort of events. But it was funny. I was talking to, I think it was Dave over the weekend, and we were talking about that day. It was here. I was on 72, and he's come up to me early on and goes, "Chad, you'll get your 100th today," as Davo does. And I went, I think he just said, "You just went blank." And I went, "Whatever, Davo. 3/4 time I've had 20." And he's just, and it's not Davo's way of coaching, but he pretty much told everyone to get it to me for the last quarter to get another 8, and it happened. So I think there's a few that ran on the field, and it was down the northern end. That's about all I remember. But achievement, I guess, to kick 100 is pretty cool, and even though it was against Callington, it is what it is.
I guess the second time you played them, you were well held because you only kicked 20.
Yeah, it might have even been earlier in the year, Pistols, I think. I did get held, and I think Josh Black at the time might have been around, or Daniel Cross might have popped up for 10 or 12 as well. So, but as the coach, if the coach says this is what we're doing, and Davo in particular, he sort of makes things happen when he talks, and he was not going to let that not happen that day for some God knows reason, but he wanted it to happen, and he made it happen.
I must say, a personal memory of you, I remember going down to watch the elimination final at Kangarilla. You were actually serving your stint as captain because you served 4 years, 2010 to 2013, I think, as captain. Yep. And you actually kicked 12 goals. Meadows just scraped into the finals. I think Gumaraka at the time had finished something like 8 wins or something ahead of you, or 6 points ahead of you. Mm-hmm. You beat them quite convincingly. They kicked 24 goals for the game. Meadows, you kicked 12 of them. Just an extraordinary performance that day. You remember that, Kangaroo Oval?
I do. If someone asks me, what do you remember, or your highlights, apart from the flags of the 2 finals at Kangi against Gumaraka, one being the one a couple of years ago. But yeah, I remember that was clear as day. Once again, under Davo, we hadn't got within, I'm going to say 15 goal of Gumaraka all year. Davo, as he does, we're going to beat him. You know, he lines up someone like Tate Murray to tag Quinton Graham, Hayden Reid to run with Ashby. Chad, you're just going to kick some goals. And I mean, I was standing Jack Page and Dutchke, I reckon, sort of rotated through me. But that was 24 goal to 21, I reckon it was.
Yeah, it was a very high-scoring game, but as I said, I was down there covering it. It's like you had the ball on a string, mate. You're taking one hand, is everything
I can sort of picture
falling over, grabbing them.
You have those days, Pistols, but it's sort of a bit of a highlight for me as well personally, because I reckon my son Curtis was only 6 months at the time, and it was just it was an unbelievable game. So that would be top couple of my games personally. And then, the following week to just go on, we end up knocking off Kersbrook off.
I was going to ask you to follow up with, the next week you play Kersbrook, who once again had probably dominated you. You kicked 7 and you burned the Brookers out of the competition. Yeah,
similar. Again, they beaten us by 12, 15 goal every game and the same thing. And they had Brett James and Dickie Kleeman and a heap of those blokes running around, and that was fantastic. But then, it was short-lived the following week.
Yeah, ran into a red-hot Chunga, I think, of all teams.
Yeah, the prelim at Nan, and I think Davo, as much as he helped me win or kick goals the first 2, I missed one. I think I was on Buddy Dave list, and always a great matchup. Had a shot early in the first quarter and missed it, and he reckons that since then we never recovered, and that was early in the piece. So, yeah, but Davo, as he does, it's a bit of a joke, but yeah, we laugh about that every now and then, that I missed one early.
For those joining us, you're on HFL Chat, and we're just celebrating the upcoming 400th senior appearance of the great man, Chad Dawe, for the beloved Meadows Footy Club. Now, I believe you've become the second person to play 400 games for this club in, 125 years or whatever it's been around. Of course, the great Alan Midge Hartwell, I think, because records weren't as secure as they are now, but they say at least 450 games, and unfortunately passing away just recently, Midge. But just who's some of the heroes, Chad Dawe, growing up, club heroes around the place that you looked up to or really enjoyed them putting in time and talking to you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, firstly, to Midge and condolences. That's going to be tough Friday.
Yeah.
Sorry, there'll be people on there saying, "Oh, Chad hasn't cried yet," because I'm known for my crying when when it's about sport or things I love.
Or the beers run out.
Or the beers run out. Harndorf at German arms at 2 a.m. The talks are that Midge has definitely played well over 400, and I guess the ironic thing is it's his funeral Friday. Hopefully everything going to plan. I can do it on Saturday, so it'll be quite a little, butterfly effect type moment. But yeah, as to look up, there's so many. I mean, you could talk modern day, but people like Chris Maben at the time, obviously the old man dad. That's back in the early days. Dave O'Thomas has been a huge influence on my football. Then you go way back to even like the juniors, Chris Thomas, him and Chris Maben pretty much they ran this club in the Panthers and the Panther League comp and got us up and about. So they were the ones that engaged with Kangaroo Sullivan's Beach to give their kids, us, an opportunity to play footy with still Meadows on half our badge. So there's probably a lot of those players back there. I mean, Roddy Brooks was always one. A couple of guys you probably won't know, Shane Sampsons of the world, only played a couple of years here, but it's arguably one of the best footballer talent-wise to play here. Matty Thomas, played lucky enough to play with all those guys, and then more recent, obviously, one of my best mates, Ty Moment, the Reed boys, Russo. There's a number there which I'm not going to name everyone because I will forget everyone and they'll probably abuse me on Facebook or something like that. But yeah, a couple of those older guys back then used to look up to. So yeah.
Tough question for you, Windsor, but who was a Meadows footballer that Chad Dawe loved playing with and watching?
So
you've probably named them already, but
I loved playing with.
Yeah. Just the way they went about it. So
the way you've said it is love playing with is one of my best mates, Ty Moment.
Yeah.
Hard as a rock, would run through a brick wall for you. He captained us for a few years, but he wasn't a captain. So I played under Matt Thomas, who was a very good captain, a very good leader. Matt was a very good voice, and he'd tell the ruck guy where to put it. Ty didn't necessarily say those words out there. He'd speak to you quietly, but then, geez, I tell you what, he'd line someone up from 20 metres away and absolutely pulverise them. He was hard as a cat's head, and a great mate that I grew up playing all my footy with. So he's probably the one that has been, and he stopped many years ago, but yeah, he's probably that one that when you say loved, he'd probably go in the category as probably the most, what's the word, the best I've played with. If I had to pick one, there's lots, but for duration as well, he'd be right up there.
Could we say, unfortunately, his bravery and the way he played football resulted in his career being cut short because the amount of injuries he had, what a gutsy, determined little footballer he was, but unfortunately,
100%, you could say that, yeah. And I think he even admitted that it's just cut his career short, which he wouldn't still be playing now because he's got other things to do, and family and running a farm.
He's got more brains than some people who could. Hey, having said that, just discussing injuries, yourself, as you mentioned, a collarbone that you did playing rep footy, which we'll get onto a bit later. But yourself, I suppose, to get where you are, 400 games, you've had a relatively injury-free run, apart from a few.
Yeah, touch wood. Spot on, Pistols, I have, and that will, just to digress a bit, that's probably another reason why I'm still going. Because as you know, my brother couldn't. Ty stopped. Rowan stopped. Still don't know why Rowan stopped. All those boys stopped, and I'm sitting there going, well, you're a long time out of it. I can keep doing it. I don't know how or why I'm doing it, but I can. The body's never been perfect, but I find a way. I actually class myself as doing fairly good rehab, as in, I'm buying all this random stuff to help your hamstrings and backs, and that.
So the ice isn't just for the beers, mate.
I don't use a lot of ice for that at all, mate. It's all just the way I do it. But yeah, have been very lucky. And yeah, obviously, I will give a little plug actually to my physio, David Wilson, back in 07 or 08. I think he got a sponsorship deal here through us, and I reckon I've been seeing him ever since.
Really?
And there was a time in Davo's era where I'd go see Dave, say, Dave, we've got a big game against Chunga, whoever. I don't care what you do what you have to do to get me up. And he'd do it, and he'd get me up. So I will give him a little plug. He's been phenomenal. But other than that, apart from I probably do abuse my body a bit with what I eat and drink and don't do much exercise. But when it comes to injuries, I'll tend to ice up or rub it up or put some compression on and stuff like that. And which that's sort of stopped the last couple of years because I haven't been too fussed, to be honest. So yeah.
Now, rep footy, as I said, I think about 6 seasons you represented the Hills. You always wanted the guys to put his hands up, and it was great because I think you led to there's always this bit of a thought that, country division a bit below Division 1, but certainly when guys like yourself and Rowan, who you mentioned, Rowan Reid, put your hands up and played and certainly cut the mustard well in representative ranks in a combined Hills side at various carnivals and, of course, interleague games. Just your thoughts on playing interleague footy, and a lot of people don't like to do it now. I know you have the money things and this sort of stuff, but you can't beat, as you said, playing with guys that you mightn't normally get the chance to play with and get to know each other socially and everything.
Absolutely loved it. That's the only thing I can say is absolutely loved the experience. And I guess I saw back then, and it's funny because people probably say, well, not people, the modern footballer, they probably wouldn't, because unfortunately, and I say this because I don't know, speaking for everyone, but the dollar maybe have an impact in the last, let's say, 10, 15 years. Whereas back then, I used to get a little bit of a niggle saying, why aren't you trying to go to Mount Lofty? Why aren't you going to town? Because I love playing at Meadows. So when there was an opportunity to play at the higher level, which I saw Div 1 as being probably pretty, the rep footy is pretty high, I jumped at it. And I thought, if I can do this, that's my little tick that I've played at a higher level, instead of leaving the club that I literally grew up in, or I still live in, for potentially money. Stayed there and then loved playing those. I think it was 2, 3 and 4 were really good. And then a bit of the district stuff as well, whatever you call that, country champ. Yeah,
Southern districts, so, and also led to state country representation for in 04, 06. So,
No, I love all I can say is loved it, and I think we were talking earlier, get to play with like the Matty Thomases, the Brad Birch, who I see a bit, Brad Smith. I laugh when I say that, but even someone like a Ryan Hunter back then, Paul Richards, Simon Noonan, those guys who are absolute guns at Div 1, I was rubbing shoulders with them, and I think myself, Rowan, Foster at the time, Carter, a few of those blokes, I don't think we were out of our depth playing at that, which made me feel like, why do I have to go somewhere else when I can play here and still do that as well, sort of thing.
But was it an opportunity? I know the Candy Stripers were into you for a while, but is it something you look back now, not that you have a lot of regrets in your career, but perhaps I could have tried Div 1?
No, not at all, actually. No regrets at all to go to Div 1, because I said the fact that I had the opportunity to play the rep footy, which was with the best Div 1 footballers.
Best of the best,
yes, I did get spoken to by a few, but I probably looked at it, well, I've had a crack at Santville, and I'm still a big believer to this day, which is, it is waning, unfortunately, is live local, play local. What better feeling is to win and play win a flag for your local club and be a part of your local club. That's just me. I'm a bit different now. I don't think that is the modern game, unfortunately. Hope it is for our next crop of 60 moddies running around here tonight. So that was, I actually don't have any regrets about not having a crack at Div 1. Extending my Santville career, slightest regret, but not really, no. Because I'd had a crack and probably wasn't quite there, but here I am still standing here trying to get a kick.
Now, highlight, perhaps playing football with family members?
I don't know where this is going, but...
No, let's just said...
Highlight in general?
Yeah, just one of the things you can look back and say, playing with Brady, obviously. Did you get to play much footy with Chris?
Yeah, 2 years ago in B grade, he tried to play again, the great fella, as coach of the B grade, and he plopped himself at full forward and he did his knee again. I just said, what are you doing? But obviously playing with him. And Brady, it was a bit of when did he come back? A few years ago, and I think Comley or someone went down and Bales had said you kicked a few against can you come and help us in the A's? And I went, oh, shit, are we that bad? And he goes, no, we just need you. And I'm glad I did, because Brady got around me and Mark Thomas and those sort of boys, and having a beer in the change rooms at home with Brady. Got a lovely photo of him, and that was probably great because we hadn't played with each other since 2008, I reckon it was, before we went to Nord. So then to have another kick with him was pretty good. Yeah, real good.
And then be part of triple premierships for your beloved Nord, have your cousin down there. That must have been, taught him all you knew.
Not quite, no. I didn't. We're only talking about on Saturday night, and I was getting a little bit of chat about this week, which I wasn't comfortable with, and I've kept pointing to Brady Dawe saying, well, that guy's played 200 league games. Like, that's massive in my eyes. Like, the time that because I've seen it in 1 year, what I had to do. For him to do that 10 years, it's not their full-time job, and commit is... He and others should be getting the more accolades than what they do. That's huge in my eyes. Yes, I'm here at Meadows, and you could even say Mitchy Croden and Eamon Wilkinson playing league footy. They're Meadows born and bred, but they're making their craft down there instead of probably doing what I do and just sat here and racked up games. But that was the way I am wired. But I think they should and deserve a lot more and higher credit than. Maybe they do, but I don't see it. I think they should one day, for sure.
I know all communities have it, but just that badge of honour, out here at Meadows, they pull on the green and gold, whether it's the footy jumper, the cricket cap. Of course, you've been part of a very special era of that. They just wear it with pride, and that, you go anywhere socially out of season, see the guys in their Meadows jumpers and everything, they just love it, don't they?
Yeah, we do, and that goes back to, I'm going to harp on it, live local, play local. Like, I grew up 100 metres away from the Oval. Why wouldn't you? My family now, we go away on holidays, they're all wearing all Meadows stuff, and I'm like, get that stuff up. But then I'm like, nah, it's all good, they love it. But it's funny you say that, Jeff, that I have a little, I can probably say it now because I'm pretty much finished. I put a little Guernsey, just put it over my face and just give it a little smell, just to... Here you go, and it's a bit like when I put the baggie on to run out in a game of Meadows cricket. I always look at the baggie, and there is something about the green and gold for us locals that have lived and played all our lives, for sure.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, one of the few sporting clubs around that do actually sport the national colours, the green and the gold, as you said.
Never thought of that. But
the Meadow Dogs, when you think, well, that's another thing for you. Here's me telling you something after 400 games, or 399. Hey, when you look at the goals, as we said, 1,182 senior goals, I think nearly 1,045 at A grade level, ranked 14th in the SA country footy. So, as I said, probably taking all this in, but when you do decide to hang up the boots finally, something great to look back on, mate. That's a lot of goals.
Yeah, I think it is. It is. And I don't probably give it the respect. I get a lot of people telling me that's fantastic. I'm trying not to make a big deal about the goal kicking because, yes, you need it. But, my son wants to be half-back flanker, and I said, how good's that? Because if we all want to do it early age and stuff, I think it can create sort of bad habits in a way at junior level. And then all of a sudden they get pigeonholed into you're a forward and stuff. So I personally don't try, and it's not about the goals. I think most of us realise that it starts in the centre with a good ruckman, and I've been blessed to have so many midfielders that put it down your throat. And I'll always say, and I've said it a number of times, the under-14s, the best footballers, midfielders will kick it to where the forward needs to go. Not where he is, he'll put it 30 metres in front of you. Yeah. So the good midfielders are almost teaching the forwards where to go.
Yeah.
So that's where I'll put it. But yeah, it is. You look back and go, 1,000 goals. That's pretty cool, I guess. I guess it is, Jeff.
I'll tell you something else that's pretty cool. As we said, the one BNF in the premiership year, but also epitomises what you're about, having known you for a very long time. Team play. You won the A grade best and team man award 5 times. That must be something else. I know you're modest, but proud about that. You've been recognised as the ultimate team player.
It's probably one of my most proudest achievements at this club. I'm probably never going to win a club person and all that because I just sit out there and cut the oval. I'm not always in the barbie shed or cooking meals. That's not my goal at the moment. But the team man one is probably my most proudest, is accolade the right word, award at this club because I've just said to the kids want you to play sport. If you can play a team game, do it because the camaraderie you get, the support you get, the mateship you get, and then in 20 years' time you can go, hey, Simon Noonan, how you going? I got to play with you, and you can have a chat. Like this, the memories that stay forever is fantastic in team sport. So very proud.
And epitomising your team first, club first outlook. Of course, now you've dropped back, as I said, playing reserves competition, but winning a flag in 2021, that must have been great with the young crop of dogs who are coming through.
That'll be probably top 7 games. Unbelievable, especially under Joey Schwab Widget, a Meadows local back in the day. he reached out to me early doors, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure, but then I saw it, and it was young Matty Harris, heap of younger lads, Cade Crode, and I thought to myself, I had some older blokes playing when I was that age,
Yep.
and I got out there, and I was that was 21 because COVID was 2020. Didn't play.
Yep.
Bought a house, did a heap of work around the house, lost a bit of weight, and I thought, how good's this? Absolutely loved it, and then that was a dream come true, and to beat Kangarilla, obviously an arch rival. Not so much to beat them, the season they had a phenomenal season, but we all know that when it comes to that last game in September, it was just a great win, and they were a bit flat on their backs, and we had a fantastic night that night, even though the A's couldn't get the done against the Brookers. But it was really, unbelievable game. Yeah, loved it.
You said about honours, Windsor with the club and how to be remembered, but I think one of the great honours for you when you look back at since 2016, and it's encouraging young players, up-and-coming stars, that the Meadows Football Club A-Grade Rising Star Award is the Chad Dawe trophy. So that must be something also that, yeah.
A bit like this interview to start with, I'm uncomfortable with that. To be honest, it's not something that I don't know. I appreciate it and respect the club acknowledging what I've done, but it still just sits uncomfortable with me. Until I guess you go to a dinner and, likes of Cade Long and Billy Trott and those sort of boys come up and shake your hand and go, wow, how good. That's probably when it really, it's good. But
they can see the significance of winning an award,
yeah,
named after a guy like you.
Whereas I'm just like, there's the Parker Shield, there's the Kev Thomas Medal, there's the Mayweld Shield, like those names have entrenched in this club since its inception, and I'm sort of a bit of a newcomer to it all, but so it's not comfortable, but I fully respect and understand, do deep down it's a little bit humbling, I guess, yeah. All
right, mate. Well, as we said, 400 games chalked up this week. Just tell us, people out there might be interested, over 400 games, 399 up until now. Superstitions, how do you prepare for the game? Do you have any regimes?
It's probably changed. There's not too much thought into it anymore because I just rock up now, which I think that's also probably kept my mind fresh over the last 4 or 5 years. I used to not known for not sleeping and also visiting the toilet a few times before a sporting event because I do get rather nervous, but as soon as we cross that line, I'm a completely different person, which is quite strange. Superstitions, no, always socks up. Used to be Guernseys tucked in till I could probably not tuck it in anymore, but always socks up, always not black boots. I did wear white a couple of years ago, but very
fabulous fill stop.
Generally walk to a game, and if it's Gummerack, I always turn left and sit in that corner. Like I'm very rigid with that sort of stuff, and so much so, even though I've got a corner in the change rooms, I just walk into the B grade now and sit wherever because it's like how good, just relaxed. I'm certainly more relaxed since I officially retired in whatever it was 2017. So yeah, it's all good.
Speaking of officially retired, what's the future hold? Can you kick a few more goals to get into the top 10 of SA country footy, or plans, or
no plans?
Just one game at a time, as they say?
I'm going to say that. When I spoke to Sheppy months ago, I said, look, we'll see how we go. I'm 1 week at a time. I couldn't commit for the start of the season through other reasons. And he goes, we'll see what we can do. So if it was based on last week, I probably won't play ever again. But considering there's a bit of a milestone this week, I'll certainly try and get up. And then I honestly don't know what the future holds. Continue to help with the 14s. Try and cook a few sausages in the barbie shed on home games and just be around wherever I can. But I don't have the answer for you right now on that.
When you first started out, Chad, you probably thought, if I play a couple of A-grade games, I'll be all right. Here you are, it's set on the verge of 400 senior games. It's just an amazing achievement. And when you're given over that period of time, some of the wet, cold training nights, etc., and luckily you have had a few little injuries, but and as you said, days where the ball don't bounce your way. But it's amazing performance, mate, when you look at it seriously. And you have no doubt in the future you will have time to sit down and actually take it all in, what you have achieved.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it will be, and it hasn't sunk in, and it will next few days, and Saturday will be interesting. So, yeah, it's been pretty good ride. That's all I can say. It's a ride. It's a dream. I'm living in Meadows. I'm married, 2 beautiful kids. They play sport here. What else could you ask for?
Yeah, and when you look at it, so you are a sporting icon when you look at the fact. So what are we talking about? 4 A-grade premiership football flags, and what are we talking about? Cricket? 10?
10 or 11. I missed one through my best mate's wedding. And whether you count the COVID ones, I think it's 11 of the 12 maybe. Very blessed again. But what I keep going back to is those flags were built around local cricketers, local footballers at this club, which I know we've got to get players in at every club you do, but I think if you've got good local juniors and good local players, that's the building blocks of a successful club.
Is it too difficult question to ask you? What do you prefer more, football or cricket, or just take it how it's been with both?
Depends on the season. Well, if you ask me right now, probably neither. I'm struggling with both. The body. I used to really get fired up for cricket. I used to love it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether football would. This is going to sound a bit, hopefully not arrogant, but I used to be able to just go out and play footy a bit more. Like I'd probably didn't have to think about it as much. Yeah. Whereas cricket, I'll go out there and I'd probably be a bit more rigid, and I've got to bowl there and I've got to hit this guy over there.
Sometimes it's harder to get a wicket than kick a goal. Is that what you're sort of saying?
Well, no, I don't know. Bowling's
it's a tactical thing.
Bowling's not easy as much as these batters think it is. But, so I don't know that. That's a tough one. It is a very tough question. Yeah, it depends on the season, how I was feeling that day and whatnot. But right now, probably neither. They're both on pars. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what.
I've got a
Benny,
Lancaster,
the bomber.
It says Matty Binder, Matt Thomas, who'll join us on Saturday for a call.
Yep.
Meadows said you're a humble champion. Just wanted to make a comment. I might be picked up here. Yeah. This is random, but you're talking about Meadows wearing their gear and whatnot out and about. I went to the 2002 division. This is how my mind works. 2002 Division 1 A-grade grand final. And I remember walking out of that gate at half time, and I remember a group of Meadows guys in the premiership shirts. I don't know why that stuck with me. I thought, and I reckon I saw you.
Balhanna?
No, it was at Harndorf, I think.
Harndorf. Yeah. Shane Grimm was coach, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, anyway, I just remember that presence that Meadows...
You're spot on.
Presence that Meadows had.
I think the years we won them, I think we've always wore our Guernseys or our shirts the following year to the Div 1 game and stuck together. And, that's a good memory, Ben. But, we certainly did. So, excellent.
Fantastic. Well, on behalf of the Core to Wild team, hopefully you get to wear this on a few more cold training nights in the future. But limited edition... most effective player that we give out normally on a Saturday. You've
it's
certainly
a legend
been
edition.
A legend edition. You've certainly been effective, mate, over 400 games. That's for you, and
excellent.
We appreciate you, mate, and we wish you all the best for Saturday. Yes,
toughest opponents that you come across over your time.
Yeah, toughest opponent. I'm going to. It's hard to say. Well, played against him a few years, but Trent Thorpe at Kangaroos probably. Toughest / best I've played against, and a random one of the toughest is Bags Bailey at Ichunga. He used to wear me like a glove, literally like a glove. Couldn't shake him. He wasn't much of him, but he just used to wear me like a glove. So I'm going to stick with Trent Thorpe as the toughest, and probably in the same category as the best that I've played against, and had some fantastic stoushes against him, and I don't reckon I got his measure. So he was pretty good. Yeah.
Hey, over the journey, the stand of Hills football. How have you seen over the journey?
Yeah, tough to comment on. I think it's got a lot quicker. That's probably one. Even the twos have.
Yep.
So much so, I reckon the Hills have started bringing in a couple of umpires years ago. When you're talking tough, 20 years ago you're playing against the Kerno boys, the Mullins guys. They were tough footballers. They were hard and tough. These days, I think you got a bit more wiry type, more agile, more quicker, more skillful footballers, whether that's just recruiting through whatever reasons, through mates and whatever. But the game up at Gumrack Kersbrook a few years ago, it was just, there was a lot of pretty good skillful guys, but not necessarily that big, bulky midfielder. And I still think to this day, if you've got one or two of them in Hills footy, I think you'll go a long way to having going the distance with the bigger body in the midfield. So,
hey, over the journey, they are characters in their own right. Favourite umpires or umpires that you've struck up a very good association with? We can't leave them out because they're an important part of the game, mate.
I'm going to say it because I saw him Saturday night, but Travis Barr was one of my. He probably, I don't know how many he did, but he was one. I just wish he'd blow the whistle a bit harder because he's just a little bit quiet with the whistle. What's his name now? Goal umpire McDonald. Trev McDonald. Trev was good, very good at the time. But yeah, they're probably the two that spring to mind. Most recent day and more.
And they always made the right decisions, didn't they, Chad?
They, like all the umpires do, Pistols. They always make the right decisions.
All right, fantastic. Well, as I said, we'll be out here on Saturday for the Call with the Wild for HFL Media doing the game. We might even get a chance here to get the last bit of the reserves in, mate. What's going to be a fantastic occasion. I know there's a past players occasion, mate, so they're all coming to see you. The big number 8 still going around, and also, as you said, unfortunate, but there'll be a special tribute, I believe, pre-match to the late, great Midge Hart. Yeah. Well, as I said, must be an honour to be included in the same club as him in the 400 club, Chad. Yeah,
it is, and swear it'll get me, but yeah, very much so.
Yep. Yeah.
He's a stalwart, and if I can take over his mantle, then I'll give it a crack. So,
fantastic. Well, you got your mantle yourself, mate. You're an icon. Thanks very much for joining us here on HFL Chat, and as I said, we'll catch you on Saturday on the Call with the Wild HFL Media. Thanks for watching.